Good afternoon and welcome to the BBC News, brought to you from Glastonbury, Somerset.
These are the headlines today.
James Heapy, MP for Wells, talks about the Brexit referendum.
Just how bad is the national teacher shortage in the West?
Might rugby be a thing of our past in our schools?
Something really broaden the mind.
We look into the customs and traditions which make Glastonbury so special.
And how did you celebrate International Women's Day?
Good afternoon. With the Brexit referendum only months away, we all face an important decision that will affect our lives and the future of the country. To find out more, we are joined in Westminster by James Heapy, MP for Wells, to share his views.
Right.
Do you believe that we should vote to leave the EU in the June referendum?
So I'm genuinely undecided whether we should leave the EU in June. On the one hand, I can see all of the arguments about recovering our sovereignty and the fact that we're a big nation in our own right and we could more than happily succeed in the world without being a member of the EU. But at the same time, I'm hearing all of the economic arguments about the sort of pressures that Brexit would put onto our economy. And so you find yourself asking, well, you know, how will it all pan out? I think that that's what a lot of members of the public think as well. And I'm just sort of listening to the arguments over the next few months, giving myself some time to make up my mind, and then I will vote in June, confident that I'm doing the right thing for our country. The benefits to staying, I guess, are that we are part of the EU already, that the EU is an important trading partner for us, and there are some good things that the EU has done. But on the other hand, there is also an argument that says that it is our membership of the EU that is holding us back, that if we weren't a member of the EU, we would be better placed to trade more globally, open up new export opportunities around the world. And also there's the criticism that the EU interferes in areas of policy that it's really not welcome. So there are strengths and weaknesses on both sides of the argument. That's why it's really important over the next 4 months we all engage and work out what it is that's best for us and our country.
Thank you, Mr. Heapy. Lots of things to consider. And now, after the Advertising Standards Authority ruled yesterday that the government's TV advertising campaign aimed at attracting more teachers to the profession was not misleading, we talked to Recruitment Officer Paul Lorto at Bath University about the teachers shortage and the challenges with recruiting teachers in the Southwest.
I'm here today with Paul Lortow about Bath Spa. Can you outline the current situation in the Southwest as far as a teacher recruitment is concerned? How hard is it to recruit to the profession?
Well, I think the Southwest is no different from most of the rest of the UK in the fact that when we're recruiting teachers, we're dealing with a lot of different pathways into teaching. There are about 8 different ways that you can be a teacher nowadays. And the Southwest is actually quite stable compared to other parts of the country in terms of teacher numbers, but it is hard to recruit. It's hard to recruit because of the varied ways that you can train, but also because we simply don't get enough people volunteering to be a teacher and to train in the first place. So, for example, every single school in the Southwest has on average 1 teacher missing, and that probably means there's over 1,000 or maybe even 2,000 teachers that we need right now at this very moment in time. Because teachers can earn 65,000 and more in fact, but when they've taken management responsibilities. So yes, several years down the line, maybe 5, 10, 15 years down the line, they can earn that amount. And often there's a difference between what you can earn in a large city such as London, where they have a London pay, compared to the rest of the country. So it's not completely wrong, and statistically you can earn that money, but most teachers are only going to start on around about 21 to 22,000, which is around 3,000 or 4,000 per year less than other graduate jobs.
Should school children be worried about the current shortage?
I think being worried, probably not, because there's a lot of other things and a lot of other aspects of your life that you should be worrying about or should be taking seriously. But I think it is something for schools to worry about, for society to worry about. I mean, schools need good results. Head teachers want good teachers in the classroom, and most report that they find it difficult to recruit. So I think it is something that we should take seriously, and it is something that seems to be getting worse year on year.
Fascinating. Now, continuing with issues in schools, last week more than 70 doctors and academics called on politicians, chief medical officers and children's commissioners to support a ban on rugby tackling in schools. They say that injuries from this high-impact collision sport can have lifelong health effects for children, and that schools should move towards touch and non-contact rugby. We sent our sports correspondent Zoe off to investigate this story, and I joined a PE teacher for his views on the subject.
How frequently have you seen injuries related to rugby?
So in primary care, not all that much, so in the GP setting here, but particularly when I used to work in accident and emergency and on neurosurgery, obviously you tend to get a bit more, a few more patients coming in with rugby-related injuries and other sports-related injuries as well.
Okay. How serious are these injuries, and can they have a long-term effect?
As with any injury, it affects the patient differently. With rugby in particular, obviously it's what's termed a high-impact collision sport, so you are probably more likely to get serious injuries such as head injuries, spinal injuries, that sort of thing, than say if you were to go walking or perhaps swimming. I think, again, more evidence needs to come out, but certainly we would see more head injuries in a sport such as rugby because of the nature of the game.
Do you agree with the calls by doctors to ban contact rugby in schools?
From a PE teacher's point of view, I don't agree with banning contact from rugby in schools. I think tackling is an important part of the game. And I think with rugby, I think it teaches more than just sport-specific skills, as there are a lot of life skills that you can teach within rugby, like teamwork, leadership, communication, and I think the positives outweigh the negatives in regards to tackling. Yeah, I think tackling plays a massive role in the sport of rugby. I think actually your body being able to withstand tackling impact is a skill in itself, and I think by removing that from the sport of rugby, it will be a totally different sport.
Now then, they say travelling broadens the mind, but how do you prepare for and recover from the harrowing incident of a hijacking in a foreign country? Brian Morrison, a maths teacher from Somerset, told us how a dream destination turned into a nightmare scenario. Megan reports.
What is the scariest experience you've ever experienced?
I've been shot in a gang. That's why I'm so cheerful, because I'm still alive and I should be dead. But my scariest experience was twice. My son was thought to have cancer, and he was having a huge operation, and then we escaped, and then again he fell off a cliff. He's a boy, and got called from holiday, and he was tied to a hospital bed in a coma for days. That was maybe scarier than being shot's quick,
Wow, a very brave man. As we were reporting from Glastonbury today, we couldn't resist looking to some of the traditions and legends associated with this very popular Somerset town. Not only is it the home of the biggest music event in the whole year, it is steeped in legends connected with King Arthur, as well as being a spiritual place for Christians. We catch up with some of the people who make up this rich tapestry of a community.
I'm here today with Mr. Greenway, the Glastonbury town crier. What does being the town crier involve?
Town crier is a ceremonial role now, and it involves being seen by the public at important events in Glastonbury and villages around Glastonbury. We turn up for such things as the opening of shops, art galleries, fun runs, motorcycle rallies, and the important pilgrimages that we have in Glastonbury, and special local civic events. So it's largely a ceremonial role. There's about 150 town criers in the UK. Not every town has one. And I'm sure that Shepton Mallet will very soon get themselves a town crier. They've had one in the past.
I'm interviewing the Mayor of Glastonbury today. So, what does the job of Mayor involve?
Well, that's quite a leading question. It involves so much, really. I suppose the most important job is that I am chair of the council for this year. That's how we decide who our chairperson is. But also it's about representing the town. So I get invited to all kinds of civic do's with other mayors, and we call ourselves the Chain Gang, actually. It's quite good fun. And lots of church services, because of course that's all involved with local government. I opened stuff. I've been opening fetes and festivals. I opened the Pilton Festival this year, which was very exciting, with Michael Eavis on the main stage. That was good. Thoroughly enjoyed that.
Another local curiosity is the legendary of the Glastonbury thorn tree, a tree which is said to be linked to Joseph of Arimathea. We set out to examine why this is such a special tree and how it differs from the average shrub. I'm here at St John's Churchyard in Glastonbury to find out about the Holy Thorn. What ways is the Glastonbury thorn connected to the story of Christianity?
Joseph of Arimathea allegedly came to Glastonbury years and years ago, but the myth is that he came here and stuck a staff into the big hill that's just behind us here at the church, and from that sprouted a holy thorn. But Joseph of Arimathea himself allegedly was the person who took Jesus down from the cross and put him in his own tomb, Joseph's tomb, that is, not Jesus' tomb. So that very much links, doesn't it, Christianity with Good Friday and Easter Day with Glastonbury. So that's how it links.
How many others are there in the world?
All good too. No idea at all. There must be hundreds. I mean, just in Glastonbury alone, we've probably got 12. Okay.
That's a lot.
But I think what you need to know about Holy Thorn is why it's unique and special. Firstly, it's very hard to grow in any parts of the world, although there are a lot of them. But it flowers only twice a year. It flowers firstly at Christmas. Well, that's fine, except Christmas is slightly movable, you know, in terms of, and it's always 25th of December, but it depends on weather and all the rest of it, but it always flowers around that time. And Easter, we have no set date for Easter, and if you look outside in a minute, you'll see that there's blossom forming, because in 2 weeks' time we've got Easter. Now, how does that work? That's what makes this tree so special and so unique.
What an interesting story, and such a beautiful church. And finally, did you celebrate International Women's Day on Tuesday? Who is the most inspirational woman to shape the world? Would it be Margaret Thatcher, Princess Diana, or perhaps Emily Bronte? We took to the streets to gauge the voice of the people.
We are in Glastonbury High Street today doing Vox Pops, asking people if they know it's International Women's Day and about their most inspirational woman.
Are you aware that today is National Women's Day?
Yeah.
Who is the most inspirational woman in your opinion?
I'd say my mum. I'd say my mum too.
Did you know yesterday was National Women's Day?
International Women's Day, yes I did, yeah.
Who's your most inspirational woman?
I don't think I could just name one. I do find women who stand up for their political beliefs and women who work in the world to help others, particularly inspiring. For example, from history, Florence Nightingale, who helped people in the war. And I also find now Hillary Clinton, because she stands up for what she believes in.
Did you know it was International Women's Day yesterday?
I did know it was International Women's Day, and I think it was a really good idea.
And who is your favourite inspired female?
I have so many women that inspire me, it's difficult to choose one. I would say Rosa Parks, who sort of kicked off the civil rights movement in America. Maya Angelou, who is a very famous African-American poet and author. And probably from this country, I really admire Helen Mirren for her outspoken views on women's rights.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, that's it from our newsroom in Glastonbury. But if you want to keep up with today's national and international events, please tune in to our colleagues on BBC World News. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Goodbye.